Bombshell tonight in the Nolan Wells investigation. Tonight, a Nolan Wells phone evidence torpedo.
The phone is the last thing they have left of their son, and they're terrified that if they hand it over, they'll never see it again. Before we go deeper into what the evidence actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to CrimeNest Media. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the facts. Think about that for a second. A family grieving a 19-year-old boy found dead on a beach, and the central question isn't just how he died, it's who gets to hold the digital key to his final hours. That phone isn't just a device, it's a sealed room, and behind that door is everything. Every text, every photo, every Snapchat that vanished into the ether. Every conversation that might explain how Nolan Wells ended up face down on Horn Island, Mississippi in an advanced state of decomposition.
We have had multiple witnesses reach out to us, two confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. on July 4th. Well after the Triton, as you said, left around 4:30.
But the family won't hand it over without a witness in the room. And that single condition has turned them from grieving parents into what some are calling uncooperative suspects.
And so those witnesses have went to investigators, they've talked to the police, and they've done what they're supposed to do. These witnesses know Nolan. They've known him for a long time. They were able to make a positive ID.
The narrative flipped fast. One day, they're the victims. The next, they're the ones being accused of obstruction. And the only thing that changed was a deadline, a 48-hour demand letter that arrived while they were out of state, speaking at a journalism conference, trying to keep their son's name alive. The district attorney's office says, "Give us the phone." The family says, "Give us a mediator." And in that gap, the entire investigation stalled. The phone is not being hidden. It's being guarded. There's a difference. But the DA's office isn't acting like there is. On July 15th, the family's attorney sat down with prosecutors and agreed on a path forward.
Isn't that when the family had a meeting and said, yes, you can have the phone, but they want independent examiners there at the same time, right? Tell me July 15th, what happened?
July 15th, the attorney for the parents of Nolan met and said, yes, we want to give over the phone, but we want someone in the middle here, someone from the outside, an expert to analyze the phone. It appeared everyone agreed. Then
everyone would come together. One examination, one download, one chain of custody that everyone could verify. The family would hand over the phone. The state would bring its experts. The family would bring theirs. And for a moment, it looked like cooperation had won. Then silence, weeks of nothing, no follow-up, no date, no time, no communication. And then, on August 12th, while the family was hundreds of miles away, a letter arrived, 48 hours. Turn it over. The family wasn't even in the state.
Then all of a sudden, they get a letter saying, we want the phone and you have 24 hours to send it over. The DA sent that. And the parents were out of town and said, wait, we don't have the time to do that. Hence the narrative that they're not cooperating. Now, they
fear the evidence will be destroyed.
Many people have seen injustice in other cases that have nothing to do with them. And I believe they fear evidence will be destroyed or mishandled. And it can never be recaptured. It's very possible it could never.
That phrase isn't paranoia. It's precedent. And that's the part of this story that doesn't get said enough. When families ask for independent oversight, it's not because they think the police are corrupt. It's because they've seen what happens when the door closes and no one is watching. They've seen the pizza delivery guy walk through a crime scene. They've seen the professional cleaner called in before the investigation even starts. They've seen the video evidence handed over and then lost. They've seen the computer leave the house and never get examined. And they know that once evidence is mishandled, you can't get it back. The Greenberg case is the ghost that haunts this entire conversation. 20 stab wounds, including the back of the head, the back of the neck, the spinal cord severed, and the ruling was suicide. Not homicide, suicide. And when the evidence started to look inconvenient, the apartment got cleaned, the video got lost, the computer walked out the door, and no one could explain why. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a case file. That's a ruling. That's a family left with nothing but questions and no way to answer them. So when Nolan Wells's parents ask for an independent examiner to watch the phone download, they're not being difficult. They're being smart. They've read the history. And the history says that when you're not in the room, things disappear. Deleted texts get overwritten. Photos get corrupted. Timelines get fuzzy. The phone gets returned and no one remembers what was on it. The family has already watched their son's body be found on a beach in an advanced state of decomposition. They've already watched the narrative shift from drowning to maybe something else.
Nancy, we have not seen evidence of them coming back. Remember, 3 boats caravanned out to the island, and then we have different stories about when they arrived back on the mainland. But we don't have video of any of them
So we don't
showing
have
back
that
up.
video.
They've already watched 6 weeks go by with no criminal investigation, no seized devices, no sense of urgency from law enforcement.
How can someone state there is no criminal investigation? I understand a grand jury is about to be convened. That doesn't mean there's a crime, but doesn't that suggest to you a grand jury inside the Superior Courthouse, inside the district attorney's office, would suggest there is a criminal investigation?
Well,
And now they're being told to trust the system with the one piece of evidence that might actually explain what happened. They fear the evidence will be destroyed. So they said, yes, we'll hand it over. But we want to be there. We want our experts to see the download happen
Now,
in real time.
They say, Nolan's parents, look, we have our experts on standby. This week, pick a day. And not to mention, on the 19th would have been Nolan's 19th birthday. A difficult week for the family, but they say, hey, we'll give up his cell phone. We want someone, a mediator, if you will, an expert in the middle.
Well, this is interesting, what you just said. Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jackson
We want to
State.
know who touches it, when they touch it, and what they do with it. That's not unreasonable. That's standard. That's what defense attorneys do in autopsy suites. That's what prosecutors do when they want to preserve the integrity of a case.
yeah, you're right. And it happens. Nancy, I've actually been in autopsy suites with defense attorneys, believe it or not. All manner of people come through the labs over the years as an independent set of eyes. So let's just say that they do, in fact, have an independent individual examine this phone. And I think this question goes back to you as a prosecuting
One
attorney.
examination, one download, everyone in the room, no secrets, no chain of custody gaps, no accusations later that something was planted or deleted or overlooked. The family even said pick a day. Any day this week, we'll be there. 24 hours notice is all we need. And still, the DA's office hasn't responded.
Yeah, because remember, we've got a grand jury that's going to be
Let me tell
impaneled,
you,
allegedly.
HELLYES. Because the first thing, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would do is, isn't it true? I gave you the opportunity to review the phone. Isn't that true? On this date. And you didn't do it. So don't come
They
complaining.
fear the evidence will be destroyed. Here's where the timeline gets tight. Nolan would have turned 19 on the 19th. The family spent that week preparing for the forensic exam they thought was coming. They had experts on standby. They had their legal team ready. They had the phone preserved and waiting. And the DA's office. Silence. No date. No time. No acknowledgement that the family had agreed to everything except blind trust. And that's the part that matters most. This isn't a family hiding something. It's a family who has already lost their son and refuses to lose the only thing that might tell them why. Think about what's on that phone. The last photos he took, the last messages he sent, the last snapshots that vanished into the digital void unless someone knows how to retrieve them. The forensic expert who worked with the FBI for 22 years says it's straightforward.
It's pretty easy nowadays. You get the physical phone itself, you hook it up to a device like the Cellebrite, which is one of the main producers of this type of software that can download phones. First of all, obviously, you have to have the password to the phone. If not, then you have to go through a lot of processes to get past the password and into the phone. But once
You
you're
connect
into
the phone to a device like Cellebrite. You copy the data. You don't change anything. You don't alter the evidence. You just download a mirror image of everything on that device. And then you can see the
you can
deleted
start
texts.
going through that data. You can look at all the text messages, and it'll even let you know which ones have been deleted. Now, of course, deleted means,
Put them up, please. Put them up, please. What do you see when you're looking for deleted? Do you see like you log on and you just see all this data, X's and O's and digits, and how do I tell something's been deleted?
The recovered photos. The timeline that might show who he was with where he was and what happened in those critical hours after the Triton left Horn Island at 4:30. But you have to have the phone, and you have to have the right people watching. The family isn't refusing, they're protecting. And in a case where the investigation hasn't even been officially classified as criminal, that protection might be the only thing standing between the truth and another closed file that leaves everyone wondering. The witnesses exist. 2 credible people who knew Nolan for years placed him on the island at 5 or 6 p.m. Well after the boat left. Well after the GPS says the Triton was already heading back to the mainland. That means someone else was there. Or he stayed. Or something happened that no one has explained yet. But those witnesses went to investigators. They made positive identifications. They did what they were supposed to do. And still, 6 weeks later, no one has seized a phone. No one has conducted a criminal investigation. No one has locked down the scene. No one has brought in the cadaver dogs that could have detected decomposition within 45 minutes. The island is small. There aren't many places to hide. And yet, the evidence that could answer everything is sitting in a drawer, waiting for a chain of custody that everyone can agree on. So the question isn't why the family is afraid. The question is why the DA's office isn't moving faster to prove them wrong. If the evidence is clean, if the phone has nothing to hide, why not do the exam with everyone present? Why not set the date and let the family watch? Why not build the trust that the system claims to deserve? That's the question that hangs over this entire case. And the family is still waiting for an answer. The truth is, they're not just fighting for their son. They're fighting for every family who has ever watched evidence walk out a door and never come back. They're fighting for the principle that the last thing you have of someone you love shouldn't be the first thing the system takes away from you. They're not being difficult. They're being careful. And in a case where everyone else seems to be moving slowly, that care might be the only thing that keeps the truth alive. When you think about what happened on Horn Island and what didn't happen in the weeks that followed, you start to see the pattern. A body found. A drowning presumed. A phone requested. A family hesitant. A timeline that doesn't add up. Witnesses who saw something. No criminal investigation. And a DA's office that waited weeks to send a demand letter, then gave the family 48 hours while they were out of town. That's not a system working smoothly. That's a system that seems to be hoping the problem goes away. If you want to see for yourself, the public records from the Jackson County DA's office regarding the timeline of communication with the Wells family are available through Mississippi's Public Records Act. You can request them. You can read the letters. You can see exactly when the agreement was made and when it fell apart. And when you do, ask yourself one question. If it was your son's phone and your son's life and your son's death, would you hand it over without anyone watching? Put that in the comments, because that's the only question that really matters. Subscribe to CrimeNest Media for more evidence-based investigations. Like, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Because this case is far from over. And the phone is still waiting.